That was one of the crazier playoff games I've ever seen. We had yet another week of jam-packed, thrilling football in the NFL playoffs. From the wild card to this past weekend's divisional round, it did not disappoint. And now we are on to the championship round. The winners go on to the Super Bowl. And oh baby, am I stoked. We're going to break all of this stuff down in this episode, and I'm going to give you my picks. Hit the subscribe button because you will not want to miss out on this action. If you do not subscribe, please do so right now because I bring the entertainment, the energy, all video, the facts, the opinions, but most of all, I want to hear from you in the comment section below. I want you to engage. Give me your picks. Did you hit on any of your picks? How many did you hit on? What were your takeaways from the games? I'll tell you what, I hit on all 4 of my picks. That's right, thank you very much. 4-0. I got all of them right. And that brings me to a grand total of 8 picks correct to just 2 picks that I missed on in the wild card round as you take a look here. But we will start in the NFC side of things. The LA Rams in an overtime thriller against the Chicago Bears in the sub-zero, well, real feel sub-zero temperatures, but definitely below freezing temperatures in Chicago at Soldier Field. Everybody and their mother said what? Matthew Stafford can't play in the cold. He's not going to be ready for the Chicago temperatures. Well, I got news for you. He has now won 9 out of his last 11 games played in below freezing temperatures. And he did so again, courtesy of his defense in overtime. We got to get into this game. I mean, this game was absolutely incredible. From start to finish, it was primarily a defensive battle. Give or take, a 1-possession ball game. Neither team really wanting to give too much, but Ben Johnson, I gotta say, man, kudos to the Bears. I mean, look, I'll credit you guys. First playoff win since 2010. He's undoubtedly changing the culture here in Chicago. Caleb Williams definitely has a lot of talent, but Ben Johnson, going forward on 4th down, he was 3 for 6. By halftime, it could have been a 13-10 ball game. Ultimately, it didn't bite them really in the end going for it on 4th down because they were able to get into the overtime. But if they start the second half up 13-10, I feel like maybe their approach changes. The overzealous, risk it, no biscuit style, I'm sorry to say, but you're not Bruce Arians, man. You don't have Tom Brady at your disposal like Bruce Arians did. You got to play for points in the playoffs. So that was a big takeaway from me with Ben Johnson, and I also thought the play call got a little generic on those 3rds and those 4th downs in trying to run the rock. I mean, the Rams D was ready for it. Don't get me wrong, Swift and Monangai also were able to get theirs, and they were hard hitting the entire game, but got a little predictable. And then Caleb Williams, 3 interceptions in this game. It proved to be costly in the end. The other 2, I don't believe the Rams actually ended up getting points off of them. The first one they did, the Rams went down the field and they scored that touchdown. But after that, there was the other interception that Caleb threw in regulation that did not bite him. But in overtime, it bites him. When you look at that situation, you had 2nd and 8 from the Rams' 48-yard line with 6:47 to go. That's also a play call thing. Why are you throwing the ball in that situation? All you have to do is get into field goal range. You made the stop of Stafford and company on their first drive in the overtime. Why are you trying to throw the ball around the yard? He tries to throw a pass. Cameron Curl makes a great play, diving play, picks it off. Probably a little miscommunication there with DJ Moore, but the point still stands. Why are you throwing the ball in overtime when all you need is a field goal to win it and it's 2nd and 8? That, in my opinion, was foolish on behalf of Ben Johnson and then the execution for Caleb Williams there. Because the 3 interceptions in totality, most of the time, when your team commits more turnovers than the other team, Matthew Stafford played an entirely clean game, you're not going to come away with that game. But I got to give credit to Caleb Williams for that throw on, 4th and 4 to save the season. The season hanging in the balance with the Bears trailing by a touchdown, and to sprint 10 yards back behind your offensive line with the entire Rams defensive front coming at you, fading off a back foot and putting that ball on the money in the corner of the end zone to Cole Kmet. I got to give Caleb his flowers for that one. That kid is undoubtedly talented. That kid undoubtedly has some sort of a clutch gene festering inside of him. I mean, we saw the 7 fourth-quarter comebacks, including the wild card game against the Packers. In this one, he falls short in the overtime, throws the pick, and then Matthew Stafford, who everybody said couldn't play in the cold, orchestrates a drive. He hits Parkinson. He hits reliable Davante Adams with one hell of a toe tap, toe drag catch. Vintage Davante Adams on that drive, and then the play to Puka Nacua, the pass play to Puka Nacua to move the chains, move the sticks, and then the thicker kicker, Mevis gets it done. Harrison Mevis, the New York Jets practice squad legend, Harrison Mevis, gets it done and splits the uprights to send the LA Rams to the NFC Championship game. That was one hell of a game right there. On the other side of things in the NFC, look out, because the Seattle Seahawks are buzzing right now. The old moniker of defense wins championships, well, they are looking like the second coming of the Legion of Boom under Mike McDonald. You got to credit the Seattle Seahawks for their 41-6 ass whooping of the San Francisco 49ers. That was dominance to a T. Brock Purdy was not able to do anything. DeMarcus Lawrence and Leonard Williams, they got a couple of sacks. DeMarcus Lawrence with the 2 forced fumbles. He came up huge in this game for them. Ernest Jones IV with the interception, the team leader in interceptions with 5 in the regular season, gets a big one, including a forced fumble. I mean, this Seattle defense, they fly around the field, they make you uncomfortable, and they harass the crap out of Brock Purdy in this game. Rashid Shaheed, this guy is a special teams hero for this Seattle Seahawks team. What a trade in getting Rashid Shaheed on this team, because he helped them against the game against Atlanta in the regular season with the punt return touchdown. Also sparked the comeback against the Rams in week 16. Rashid Shaheed with the opening kickoff touchdown for Seattle. And then Kenneth Walker with 3 touchdowns. Guy became the first Seattle Seahawk to do that in a playoff game, I believe, since Sean Alexander in 2005 or 6? I think it was 2005 against the Packers. But Kenneth Walker saying, look, we're praying obviously that hopefully Charbonnet doesn't have any structural damage, but I got it from here. I got you guys. And then precautionarily, they held Charles Cross out of that game. They took him out of that game with that foot injury. He should be a go in theory, but he's probably their best offensive lineman, so they will definitely want him. But this is a telling stat right here from that game. The Seattle Seahawks pressured Purdy 47.4%, and they only blitzed. Their blitz rate was 10.5%. So what does that show you? They can get pressure on the quarterback without bringing the extra man, and they can do so effectively. The Seattle Seahawks from start to finish dominated the 49ers in this game, and credit to Sam Darnold, because he didn't play stupid with the football. He did what he had to do. He game managed, while also throwing a touchdown to JSN, but he was 12 for 17 with 124 yards, and he also had the oblique injury. He was playing through the oblique injury, but he looked pretty good with the throws that he completed. Darnold did his part. Now we have an NFC Championship game in which the Seattle Seahawks at home at Lumen Field, the 1 seed, -2.5 point favorites right now against the LA Rams, who pull off yet another comeback victory by Matty Stafford. 2.5 to go in that wild card game against the Panthers. He orchestrated and got it done. Now we have an NFC Championship game between 2 familiar foes. This is a trilogy on 2 accounts. This is a trilogy in the playoffs because these 2 teams have played each other just twice in their history. 2005 when the Rams were St. Louis, and then in 2021 when the Rams were LA. The Rams are 2-0 against Seattle in the playoffs. They've also obviously played each other twice in the regular season, with the Seattle Seahawks losing the first game to the Rams, albeit because they missed a field goal. Despite Darnold's 4 interceptions, they still were in a position to win that game and miss the kick. And then later, as I mentioned, in week 16, the 30-14 comeback that was sparked by Rashid Shaheed's punt return It took 3 2-point conversions in the fourth quarter, and in overtime, Darnold executing to his credit, a beaut of a drive in overtime to beat the Rams in that game. So the season series, the regular season series, was split at 1 apiece. We had 115 total points between both of those games. That comes out to an average of 57.5 points per game. So what do I expect in this game? I expect a shootout. We are going to see 2 top-tier premier teams going head-to-head in the best number 1 offense in the league led by Matthew Stafford and company, and a Seahawks defense that is allowing only 19 total points over their last 3 games, including the back end of the regular season. This is a Seattle defense that can get after the quarterback, they can create opportunities, and they are an opportunistic defense that can make it happen for you and get your quarterback, or their quarterback, in this case, Sam Darnold, the ball back. But when you look at these 2 teams on paper from an offensive perspective, I'm looking at the Rams, who have a top 5 offensive line in this league. Without a doubt, bar none. They have Devontae Adams, who's played in big games before, who's played in championship games before. He knows what it takes. Puka Nacua, who's been arguably with JSN, the top 2 wide receivers in the NFL. You got them going head-to-head in this game. You got the Kyron Williams versus Kenneth Walker. Cooper Kupp against his former team with the Seattle Seahawks, which, by the way, he paced all wide receivers for the most receiving yards in that win against the 49ers. So this game is going to come down to which stars shine brighter, and in my opinion, it's also going to come down to which quarterback do you think in a shootout can end up clutching it over the other. I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford. You also, I know when it's playoffs, you got to throw the regular season out of the equation, but I'm going to take the 37-year-old who's on pace to win the MVP award this season after orchestrating 2 drives in 2 playoff games this season. He's already got the playoff acumen and the playoff experience. He's a Super Bowl winner in 2022. He had to go out and beat Tom Brady. He knows what it takes to win. He also had to go out and beat the 49ers. This is a quarterback that is made for the big moment. He's a future Hall of Famer, especially if he can win the Super Bowl this year. Even if he can win the MVP this year, I think he gets in for sure. But if it comes down to these 2 quarterbacks, and mind you, remember, Darnold's got the oblique. I'm going to go with Matty Stafford, reliable, who showed me nothing but the clutch gene in this playoffs thus far. Give me him. If it comes down to it at the end of the game, I'm taking Matthew Stafford to orchestrate and get a W and get a win over Sam Darnold. Now, I will say this, as I mentioned, defense does win championships. So it's also going to really come down to which quarterback has less turnovers in this game, as it normally does in the playoffs. But if I had to trust somebody, like I said, I know regular season you got to throw out the window. Darnold did throw 4 interceptions against this Rams defense the first time they played each other. He also threw 2 interceptions in that comeback victory that they had in Week 16. Matthew Stafford, he had his fair share of picks. I believe he threw a couple across both of those matchups, and then he had that bad game against Atlanta where he threw 3 picks. But this is Matthew Stafford playing like a man on a mission. He just got out of sub-zero temperatures, below freezing temperatures, and got a win. Give me Matthew Stafford in this game as the underdog to get the Rams back to the Super Bowl. And in the AFC, we had very similar situations with the NFC and the AFC this divisional weekend. We had 1 stinker of a game and 1 thriller of a game. And the thriller for the AFC came on Saturday night, also a heartbreaker for Buffalo fans, a 33-30 loss against the Denver Broncos at Mile High Stadium. And for the Broncos, it comes at the cost of their quarterback, Bo Nix, who's having an incredible season. Fracture in his ankle, and he's done for the rest of the playoffs. In Jarrett Stidham, they will trust. And for Bills fans, Bills Mafia, Josh Allen, he cannot catch a break. This city can't catch a break since the early 90s. This is just what feels like heartbreak loss after heartbreak loss for the Buffalo Bills. Deion Dawkins and Josh Allen, very emotional in the locker room following the game. For good measure, Sean McDermott not afraid to go after the controversy that we had in overtime with the officiating, and we'll get into all that. But what it really comes down to, Bills fans, at the heart of this game here, and you guys know it, You cannot have 5 total turnovers and expect to win a playoff game. And Josh Allen, he took full blame and really bared the burden of this loss on his back because he had 4 turnovers in this game, 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles. James Cook had a fumble as well in the second quarter. And at the end of the half is what really crippled the Buffalo Bills. Every single point in the playoffs matters. And Josh Allen trying to do a little too much hero ball playing. Similar to Carson Wentz in his prime with the Eagles, just trying to do too much. And Josh Allen fumbles the football away with like 10 seconds to go in the first half. The Broncos get the ball and they kick a field goal. Instead of being up 17-10 at the half, it's a 3-point swing, 10 points total. They're up 20-10 at the half, and the game ends up coming down to that. When it was all said and done, it comes down to a field goal. The Bills would have won the game had they just played smart there. Josh Allen didn't need to try to play hero ball. Had the Broncos not gotten that kick, the Bills would have won it at the end of that game when they jacked up the field goal. And then we go to the overtime, and controversy erupts. But Josh Allen, you can't there's no way to sugarcoat that. You cannot have that many turnovers in a playoff game, especially when you don't have weapons at your disposal as it is, and you're working with Curtis Samuel and Brandon Cooks and your 2 tight ends to try to get anything done. And McCole Hardman, shout out to him. It's not a recipe for success. And that's what happened in this game in Denver, getting the 3 sacks on Allen with the 5 turnovers, just showing you that they are one of the top 3 units in the entire National Football League. And there's a strong argument, them in Seattle, for the best defense remaining in this playoffs. But in this game, in the overtime, the aforementioned controversy that we got, that McDermott touched on, and that might change a rule similar to the 2021 divisional against the Chiefs. They changed the overtime rule so that both teams get a shot to score a touchdown. They might change the rules to where a coach is able to challenge a call and it's not just left up to New York in the playoffs in overtime, because McDermott's point was with the Jaquan McMillan interception, Brandon Cooks, they said he did not have possession of the football when his knee was down. The ball was kind of moving. Now, you can make this parallel to the game with the Rams and the Bears when Davante Adams caught that pass that a lot of Bears fans and a lot of, obviously the entire team for the Bears thought it was an interception. My discrepancy, and it's so minute in my opinion, and I could be wrong because everybody's entitled to their own opinion on this, and clearly we haven't really got much transparency from the league offices, but in my opinion, the Brandon Cooks ball, he never really had total firm possession. The ball was moving that whole way through when Brisker took it out of his hands, as opposed to Davante Adams caught the ball, had it firmly, knee down, and then sort of like bang, bang after that. I felt like Adams had, even if it's the most minute amount of control, I think he had more control than Cooks had, but that's really up in the air for debate. But that interception proved costly for the Buffalo Bills there, because then you had the 2 pass interference calls, the one on Taron Johnson, which I thought was a horrific call on that play. I think that was Sutton, right? He didn't even really, he fell to the ground on his own accord. He was not interfered with by Taron Johnson. Then the Tre'Davious White downfield, you can make a strong argument for that, but if you're the refs in that situation in overtime, you cannot call that penalty. They end up calling that penalty. It's a chip shot for Will Lutz, and into the night, the Bills go silently. New England Patriots, we'll get into them, 28-16 beatdown of CJ Stroud in the snow at Foxborough, and they got after it. 2 fumble recoveries and 6 sacks against Herbert in the wild card. I told you guys, this Patriots defense is nothing to play around with. Milton Williams coming back for them is gigantic, and it showed again in this game. 5 total turnovers for CJ Stroud and the Texans offense. You had the Woody Marks fumble and 4 interceptions for CJ Stroud. I don't know why anybody would have went into this game. All of the ESPN so-called analysts and experts all picking the Texans. I don't know where the hell you're getting that from, because what I saw with the 5 fumbles against the Chargers, never would have led me to believe that, oh yeah, CJ Stroud's going to pull out a win in the snow, in the wintry conditions at Foxborough and beat the New England Patriots, who are a well-coached team with Mike Vrabel. Yeah, let me go ahead and pick CJ Stroud. I have no faith in that guy at all, and I think there's going to be big-time talks in the upper management for the Houston Texans as to who their future quarterback really is. Is CJ Stroud really the guy? Because thus far in his career, he has not shown you that he has the clutch gene in the playoffs. Some of those interceptions were just egregious. He had a pick six, which, by the way, $5 won me $42. I had plus 750 odds, I think, for Patriots defense anytime touchdown. Give me that cash money. That's how little faith I had in CJ Stroud. That was domination from start to finish from a Patriots defensive side of things. Drake May still did his thing with the 3 touchdowns against that fierce Houston front. He did have 4 fumbles, though. Will Anderson Jr., game record, 2 forced fumbles in that game. May lost 2 out of the 4 fumbles. But all in all, put together a body of work that far exceeded CJ Stroud's. In the snow, he was able to throw 3 touchdown passes. 1 to Douglas, 1 to Diggs, which was an absolute threaded needle dime, and a great catch, great all-hands catch by Diggs, and then the one-handed grab by Kayshon Boutte. That was the one that put the game away. That was phenomenal. But Stroud still put that ball right on the money there, but that's just an even better catch. Now, when it comes down to this AFC Championship, you got Jarrett Stidham, 1-3 in his career. He's made just 4 total starts in 2019. This could be a revenge game for Jarrett Stidham. This could be the Jarrett Stidham revenge game against his former team, the New England Patriots, who drafted him in the 4th round out of Auburn in 2019. He last started a game 2 years ago. He has a 1-3 record, and now he has to go up against the New England Patriots, who just took care of business and mopped up Justin Herbert and CJ Stroud. The Patriots minus 5.5, despite being on the road at Mile High in Denver. This game, in my eyes, comes down to which quarterback has less mistakes. Because the Denver Broncos defense, similar to the Texans defense, is going to get after Drake May. And the Patriots defense is going to definitely get after Jarrett Stidham. And I think that is going to be key if the Patriots want to get a W. Just force Stidham into bad decisions. Make him feel the pressure and get after him and force him into bad decisions. For Drake May, which quarterback's going to make less mistakes? Give me the guy that's arguably the MVP of the National Football League in just his 2nd year in the NFL. Give me Drake May, the guy who has put up outstanding numbers with a great completion percentage throughout the entire regular season. Despite having the 4 fumbles in the snow against the Texans defensive front, you know the Broncos are going to bring it. They're going to pressure Drake May. Give me the guy who's just been on a roll with butter compared to a guy who has not made a start in 2 years. It's not quite Phillip Rivers, who hadn't made a start in 5 years in the regular season for the Colts, coming in at 44 years old as well. It's not quite that, but Jarrett Stidham not have started a game in 2 years is pretty huge in this one. But when you look at Denver's defense, as I mentioned, the 5 turnovers against the Bills, with the 2 picks and the 2 fumbles against Josh Allen, and the fumble recovery against James Cook, this is a defense that can get after it. But if you're going to take a quarterback to win you a game, when May threw 3 touchdowns against the Texans front that got after him all evening long, all afternoon long, and he still was able to get it done, and also was able to get Ramondre Stevenson going, that's what Stidham's going to have to do with the Broncos offense, is get R.J. Harvey going. Give me Drake May on the road against the Denver Broncos despite their fierce defense. Give me him to get it done because I trust him more than a quarterback that has not started a game in 2 years. And Nick Foles, retweeting, he gave some high praise out there on Twitter, tweeting for Jarrett Stidham saying, look, the Patriots historically aren't good against backup quarterbacks, i.e. Nick Foles, with that dream run that the Eagles went on in 2018, 2019 to beat, that was 2018, 2019, to beat the New England Patriots. Nick Foles giving praise to Stidham, but I'm sorry, I'm going with Drake May, the guy who's arguably the MVP of the league, as opposed to Jarrett Stidham. But I want to know your thoughts in the comment section below. So that means it's going to be Super Bowl 53. It's going to be a rematch of 2019 when it was a 13-3 snore fest. Much different circumstances. That was Brady versus Goff. That was still McVay, but that was Belichick, and now this is Vrabel. 13-3 snore fest. The Patriots got the dub in that one. Give me Super Bowl 53 rematch. I got the Rams going to the Super Bowl, and I got the New England Patriots going to the Super Bowl and taking down the Broncos in this one. Losing Bo Nix is just an enormous loss, and for a guy in Stidham who didn't make a start the entire season, that's going to be tough. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit me with your picks. What you've hit on already, what you think of my analysis and my breakdown. Give me your picks, hit the subscribe button, and stay tuned for Championship Weekend.